Hello, everyone. This is the second part of Check This Out. Today, we're going to be talking about a progressive rock metal band from Toronto. The band is called DEREV, and I have here with me from the band, Michel Karakash and Armando Bablanyan. They are the drummer and the guitar player from the band. Hello, guys.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Rami. Pleasure to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. Happy to talk to you. Before I start asking my questions, I just want to say your music surprised me. I really enjoyed what I've heard, and it's not so often that I hear a track and it really catches my attention. So I want to talk about the history of the band, what's coming, with what's being released soon, what music you already have out there online that people can watch and get familiar with your music. But before all that, I'm gonna quickly start asking, how did you form a band in Toronto? And why did you choose to play progressive rock and metal music?
That's a good question. So to answer your first question in terms of how the band formed, actually Armando and I have been playing together for over 10 years. We met back in high school when we were in Kuwait, and that's when we discovered, our mutual love for the genre and the music itself. And we decided, to just jam together, try to form this band. But as you already know, Rami, the circumstances of living in the Middle East, in a place like Kuwait or Syria or Lebanon, it's really hard to pursue that as a career. So we didn't have another option other than to separate. I went to Syria to continue my education, and Armando came to Toronto. After, I think in 2018, so around 3 years ago, I decided to come to Canada. When I had the chance to, I came to Montreal first, and then when we kept in touch all of this time, and we decided to, once I'm here, we decided to, hey man, let's do this. Since I'm already here, you're in Toronto, I'm in Montreal. So I moved out, came to Toronto. We had our own home studio here, and we're doing music ever since.
Okay, so you kind of even optimized it to the maximum. You're living in the same place, you have your own studio, and now with the lockdown, you're spending most of the time doing the work, right? Building more music, fixing the small details, improving all. So it's a perfect situation for a perfectionist. Would you say you are a perfectionist in what you do?
I mean, I think we're perfectionists in the sense that we want to work on the song until we think is ready, but we're not perfectionists in terms of like production. Like when it comes to recording, we don't want to go in and fix every single note, make sure everything's played perfectly and captured perfectly. We want to keep our music sounding organic and natural. We want to capture the performance of the musicians instead of, making everything sounding perfect.
Okay, so you sat together, you started playing the music you enjoy, you started having your own creative ideas, you had some general themes to talk about if you were writing in the lyrics. You had something already built, you had collected some ideas, and you thought, okay, maybe we have something, we can record it, we can give this a name, starting with the band's name, right? And that was DEREV as the idea. So where did the name come from?
So we actually went through a lot of different names, and we knew we wanted something that was related to nature in a way.
Yeah.
And so DEREV is actually Armenian for leaf. So it also made sense because of like both of our Armenian heritage. And, it was a unique word that no other band had. And it was related to nature, and we thought it sounded good. So we went with it.
Okay, so you wanted to connect to nature in a way with the name, and you wanted to connect with your origin as Armenian, right? Okay. And is that also connected to your background, as in what you do in life? Because I know you are you a doctor, or did I get that right?
Yeah, I have a dentistry degree.
Yeah.
I'm a dentist, and Armando is an engineer.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wouldn't necessarily be related to our careers as much as, like Armando said, with all the technology right now and all the AI and advanced, all of that, we tend to be more, even in our music, more organic, more natural. That's where we feel like we belong, and that's why we chose the name DEREV.
Okay, so I see the story of the name. It's quite interesting. You said you're Armenian guys and you made a band, but I'm happy you didn't call it System of a DEREV. So that's a good thing.
That was second.
Okay. So you also have a bassist with you, right? So you have in the band. Sorry, yeah, you have a bassist, Liam Horrigan. He's also from Canada. He's the Canadian guy in the band.
Yeah, Liam is incredible bassist, honestly. When we were holding auditions for bassists, we had really high standards for the music that we were writing. And when Liam came in, he absolutely, blew our minds with his abilities. He was nailing everything we're throwing at him. So he's been a perfect match so far.
Okay. I don't want to go into your personal careers, but Liam is also an engineer, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, because I do notice that it seems a lot of engineers and other techie guys are too much into prog music. Do you know any reason for that strange connection there?
Yeah, it's because even when we're listening to music, we want to be solving problems. So the more technical the music, the more enjoyable.
Okay, because I'm an engineer here too, so we're all into this.
Wow. No, but
Okay.
actually, I mean, I see that as a joke. I don't think that's a common thing. I mean.
Okay. For me, I seem to meet a lot of people who are making their own music, and at the same time, they have a scientific background, and their music seems to connect with me like in a strange way. It seems like the way it's constructed has this problem solving, maybe, or organized structures.
It's more intellectual, I'd say. Progressive music rather than pop and EDM.
There is some complexity in the structure and the arrangement and the tempos and all of that, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so I did hear your music. I enjoyed it. I really liked it. But in music, you have a vocalist on the track you released, and that vocalist is not officially part of the band. His name is Adel Saflu. Is he part of the band or just featured on the EP?
So Adel is a very good friend of mine. We decided to, before talking to Adel, we held a couple of auditions here for vocalists. Unfortunately, we haven't found the right fit for the band, and ideally we'd want to have someone who's obviously in the same place as we are. But when we ran out of options, we decided to talk to Adel because he was the guy for the song, basically. And when we heard him on the track, we were mind blown, honestly. Like he did an amazing job. We didn't expect him to do this well, and we decided to have him on for the whole EP. So he's doing the whole EP with us, and we're still kind of trying to figure out where to go from here in terms of next releases, which we're working on as well right now. But for now, we're very glad to have him as a guest vocalist with us for this EP.
Okay, so you already released online the first track, Futile, right? And Adel is singing on that track. We'll talk about the track a bit more in a second, but I really loved his voice that I thought, I hope he's on the other tracks. And now you just told me that, so that is great.
I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI. This was futile.
Have an opening was a very famous guy, Elon Musk, right? With the famous sentence on a Joe Rogan show, right? Talking about AI and the dangers of AI. And this is the core subject of the track, right? How did you connect those two and build that track on that theme?
So we had this idea of the track even before seeing the interview. the interview with Elon was basically just when we saw it, we thought, oh, this would be cool to have it in the track. It's not really, we weren't really focused or direct, the direction wasn't really about having him in the track. It was just an idea to have him.
Yeah.
But the track, talking about, more details of the track, we already had that idea with the whole mood of the band, with the organic mood and all of that. Mm-hmm. And we did want to write something like Futile. Futile was actually the first song we decided to write. Mm-hmm. So we had this vision of, it doesn't really necessarily talks about, contrary to what is in the video or what the video might deliver as a message. It's not really about this doomsday or the AI taking over the world. It's more of a journey through the mind of someone who's exhausted of living in this tech world, and and someone who yearns to live in a more natural, organic way.
Okay, and he's also trying to save someone with him, right? Or is that a reflection of something?
I mean, that could be interpreted to different aspects, but yeah, sure, the idea of not only saving yourself, but saving a loved one and trying to get out of this world of AI is just,
End of the day, no one wants to live alone, right?
Of course. I saw that there are possible interpretation at many other scenes, and for me, especially the closing scene, I will leave it for interpretations, but you could see it as going to the dark, ending it, or going to the light. It's up to you what you want to see there. But I saw it as a positive track, as a kind of a wake-up track for the people. And I felt that this is kind of the message you're trying to say, like, be careful. These are things that will influence our lives and we should deal with them, right? Is that also the message of the other tracks of the rest of the EP?
I guess a couple of the tracks do talk about some negative things that people might be experiencing in their lives, and kind of be like a wake-up call, or remind people of the things that really matter in their lives. But I wouldn't say all the tracks. Like, some of the tracks are more about, like, things that are happening in the world that affect us in one way or another, or more of like a social commentary on things that we see around us. Okay,
so you'll have an EP. The EP is called Leap of Faith. That's the title, the concept, and it was coming on April 23rd, right? That will be the release date of the EP.
Yes.
And from that EP, you already have something coming even earlier, a track. It's called Delayed, and that track will be also uploaded and released on YouTube on March 5th. For that, did you also prepare kind of an illustrative story? Is it kind of in the style of Futile, or are you moving on a total different direction with that one?
For Delayed, we're taking a different approach. We're trying to take things back a little downwards. So we have hopefully a lyric video that will come out with the song. It's not going to be as intense as Futile, obviously. Yeah. But going back to the EP itself, even though it's not a concept album in terms of, it's not really, it's not conceptual, but all the tracks in the album have this common theme, I'd say, of not just, taking things the way they are, accepting them, going with the flow. No, it's more about taking action and trying to make a change, whether it's to the positive or to the negative. Okay. And that's the album name, Leap of Faith.
Okay, so we will be sharing with the listeners here, with the people watching, a teaser of Delayed. They'll be able to watch that in a bit.
The self-doubt just took control, dismissing what you've desired the most. Gave into hardship, you let it grow, rejecting the life you long for. Dumpiness on the power beyond what you control. Your call. The sooner you face the truth, the failures you've incurred.
so there is an album coming, there's an EP coming. Are you working on the next album, on a different project?
So we do have ideas that, you know, whenever we jam, honestly, at this point, after playing for almost 10 years together, we tend to just have very subtle ideas that just come out of the blue when we're jamming. And we definitely have a lot of material to go through. Right now, our main focus is on releasing the first album or the EP. And once that is done, we'll definitely get into more details in terms of next releases. But to everyone who's watching, stay tuned for sure. It's not just this EP.
Okay. What kind of a feedback you got on the release of Futile so far? Kind of people messaging you, kind of comments and all that?
Honestly, it was incredible. Beyond our expectations for sure. I personally haven't received any negative feedback, which is something new to me personally. So I'm very happy with how people interpreted it and they got the message and they're enjoying it. The feedback has been really, really good.
Okay. In the style of music you're making and this what you already recorded and released, did you have something specific in mind, other influencing bands that you said, oh, this is something I want to make, this is some level of achievement in music that I want to aim for? Do you have those kind of influencing bands that you say, okay, this is what I want to do or what I want to learn from?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of bands like these guys here and these guys here. Okay.
I think I know them. One is all called Opus, and the other I can't see.
That's pretty good.
And I already commented on the shirt one. Yeah, so I see some influences there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have a lot of prog influences like Dream Theater, Porcupine Tree, Opeth, all these guys. But
yeah.
I mean, beyond that, we're also really into jazz, Latin jazz, and different kinds of music. And what we are trying to bring to this band is basically everything that we like in all the music that we listen to. And that's kind of why we like the prog umbrella, because it kind of allows us to incorporate these different elements that you wouldn't traditionally hear in a rock song,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you're adding different elements influenced by your background, and that makes your music a bit different in the surrounding area, right? Also, that makes you a bit of a special sound relative to the scene around you.
For sure, definitely, yeah. That's the idea, to have all of these influences incorporated in our music,
mm-hmm.
but at the same time have our own unique sound, because mm-hmm. at the end of the day, the music that we want to write, we want it to be more personal from our own experience. And I think that's going to be obvious once you hear the EP.
Okay. Have you performed live? Have you played any of this music before live when it was still a jam thing or still a unfinished work?
Unfortunately, we haven't. We haven't had the chance to do so, just because of the timing that we had. Ever since we started writing this material, COVID hit and live shows were not an option for us.
I see. But you are planning, when you get the chance, we will see you on a stage.
We can't wait to, yeah.
Okay, I'd love to see you on stage. Just a simple question about the scene where you are in Toronto. Are you in contact with other bands, with bands that play a similar style? How do you communicate with your surrounding as a band in a city with other bands around you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the past year, we haven't really, met or been in contact with a lot of bands. But before that, I mean, with my previous band, we would meet bands when we would do shows or open for them, and we would just look for gigs of similar style of music just to go attend, meet musicians. And I mean, a lot of it is also online, finding Toronto bands just from, their name or their hashtags and getting in touch with them. But I mean, the scene definitely exists here. Sometimes it might be, hard to find a prog scene in Toronto. Like it's not one of the biggest rock scenes here,
Yeah.
but there are definitely some amazing bands here.
Okay, and so that's what I kind of wanted to find out, what kind of a style or scene there is. So the prog is not the big thing in Toronto.
Yeah.
Okay. And with your contact with all the bands from your countries, from all the people you met along the way, what kind of support do you feel you get from those people, as in feedback, for example, as in I don't know, some advice they give you? What kind of communication is there between bands, or is there none usually?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of communication with a lot of bands. Turbulence, for example, great shout out to a Lebanese band who's doing, you know, something similar. They've been around for a long time. Also, Maysaloon, for example, who are Syrian living in Lebanon right now. They're working on releasing their album as well, and we can't wait to hear it. Other musicians, I'm always in contact with a lot of musicians, including Adel, who has his own band and his own releasing coming up. In Syria, there are lots of, you know, bands that I could mention. One of them is Bachelor of Thoughts, led by Bashar Haroun, one of my personal best friends, and the guy is just phenomenal in what he did with the music scene and what he's doing in Syria. You know, in the midst of war and in the midst of all of this, you know, catastrophic circumstances there.
So whenever you love music and you love what you're doing, it doesn't matter really much the consequences. You just have to keep doing what you do, right?
Exactly. I remember, you know, back in 2012 when it was, you know, like one of the worst times in Syria. The war was just breaking loose, and you know, him and I, we decided to, you know, make a concert right in the midst of war. I personally couldn't attend, so he brought the crew and the bands, and they went to Aleppo right in the midst of war, and they performed, and it just blew my mind, honestly, to you know, risking your life, going to a place where explosions are happening, kidnappings are happening, and you know, you're just doing what you love. It's amazing, honestly.
Wow, yeah. So sometimes you might even risk it just to get what you want, to fulfill what you need to fulfill. Going back for your move, arriving to Toronto, you met again, you started making your music, you've made beautiful music, and I'm waiting to hear more of that. Did that shift to a new country and a new place adjust your thinking and adjust some of the concepts you were about to write in your EP?
I mean, definitely. Like, I think, I mean, as writers, we've grown so much since when we first started writing together. But besides that, I mean, definitely moving from your home country, coming to somewhere where you don't really know anyone, and, you know, learning everything from scratch again, it definitely, you know, influences you in a different way, whether it's musically or lyrically. It gives you different ideas to write about, you know, things that you've experienced that you want to communicate with people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So the EP is ready. Everything is finalized. There is a track coming soon, March 5th. So we're going to wait for that. We're going to announce it. Then the EP will be available on 23rd, as you mentioned, Leap of Faith. It will be sold digital, or there will be a physical copy of the EP?
We're thinking right now most of it is going to be digital. We might have some copies, CDs and vinyls, just like per request, if that's, you know, something that people might have want. Other than that, we're focusing on digital platforms mainly.
Okay, so as soon as we have the offered pre-purchase, pre-release, or any booking way that we can book that, I will add those links to this video so people can go and book it or buy it if they want. At the end of this, I want to ask you, do you have a specific message for the people listening to prog music, following the prog bands, people who enjoy specifically your style of music and the message that you have in your music?
I personally would have a message to maybe my friends and my colleagues, my musician friends back home and in the Middle East. you know, I definitely understand the struggle, and what I meant to come here and do is basically higher the standard of, you know, what an Arab musician can do, even in the rock and metal scene. And I'm extremely proud of that. And I'm sure there are lots of talented musicians that I know and I don't know about back home. So if you're watching this, don't give up. Keep chasing your dream. You're going to get there for sure.
Okay, thank you. And Armando?
Yeah, I mean, I resonate a lot with what Michel said. I mean, I think like even I personally have gone through phases where, you know, I would think this is just a dream. It's so hard for it to actually become something true and tangible, you know? Going back to the days when I was playing guitar in my bedroom, just learning songs, to where I am today, where I'm releasing an EP that, you know, I'm getting a lot of good feedback for. It takes a lot of time and consistency. So just keep at it, believe in it, and yeah,
get there.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, Michel. Thank you, Armando. This has been fun. Hope to see you again, maybe on the stage. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.